Hello everybody, this is Mr. Fordori, and I'm going to start a little web series here called The Do's and Don'ts of Calculus, and this is going to be episode 1, and these are just going to be some algebra things to start with that you can help yourself by following some of these do's and don'ts, especially as we're moving through limits and differentiation. We'll start with that. Now, the first one that we're going to talk about, let me move this in just a little bit more. Rational exponents. For reasons that you will see once we get into the actual calculus, you are going to want to be working in and with rational exponents. Now, let's remember that, for example, the square root of x is really equal to x to the 1/2 power. And this right there is your rational exponent. It is going to be so much easier with differentiation to be dealing with this function here, x to the 1/2 power, as opposed to the square root of x. You're going to find it's going to be a whole lot simpler. Now, if we want like the third root of x, that's x to the 1/3 power. But if you have like the fourth root of x to the 5th power, this is going to be x to the 5th power and the 4th root. So you want to make sure that when you're dealing with your rational exponents, that you want to make sure you have your variable, and the exponent itself is going to be your power, is your numerator, and your root is your denominator. And then you're going to want to follow all the different rules for exponents, because they apply to all the rational exponents that we deal with. This is, like I said, this is going to be a whole lot easier for you, because dealing with something like this is not entirely horrible, but this is going to be a heck of a lot easier and a lot faster, and I think a lot more intuitive as you go through this. Now, one thing that I heard from previous classes is that if you have this, the square root of x times x to the 5th power, and this you want to combine into 1. You want to combine into x to a certain power. And again, you're going to want to do this because the power rule, or not the power rule, but the product rule for differentiation is a lot more difficult than the power rule. Like I said, we'll get there. But you want to be able to take this and say, all right, well, this guy's really x to the 1/2 times x to the 5th. Now you ask yourself, what's the rule when you have x to the 1/2 power times x to the 5th? You have same bases, different exponents, and you're multiplying. What do you do with the exponents? You add them up. So I want x to the 1/2 plus 5, which would be x to the 1/2 plus 10 over 2. Just convert 5 into a fraction with the denominator of 2, and you're going to get x to the 11/2. And this is what you're going to want to deal with, because this right here is kind of difficult. So that's your first episode of do's and don'ts for for calculus. Deal with rational exponents. It's going to be so much easier.